My service tactic on the last point worked well, and he played a weak forehand push off this next return. That's pretty much the perfect return for me to work with after my serve. The second backhand is awful. My timing is completely off, and I start my swing too early. He did take the pace off the ball with his block, but I should have done better. At this point, I've made a poor start to the match and am rightly down 8 points to 4. I've still not found the answer to some important questions. Am I stronger than he is in backhand to backhand rallies? How is he going to handle my backhand side spin flick? Is this going to be a winning tactic for me? Knowing the answers to these questions will shape my tactics for the rest of the match. Perfect placement on my backhand flick. This point is an example of the versatility of the backhand side spin flick. His serve may be short or maybe just half long, but it really doesn't matter for me. My shot is almost identical in either case. My upper body stays stable and I just use my wrist and forearm to do the work. My shot kicks up at him. I was able to use the heavy spin on his serve mixed with the kick from my own shot. He catches the ball too late when it's almost already behind him. This point demonstrates a weakness in backhand dominated players like Mattenet. We often have a tendency to hit the ball too late when caught in the middle or in the pocket and have too much upwards movement in the stroke. I'm forever trying to improve this in my own game. Effective tactical placement of his serve. He's caught on that I have a good backhand flick and is trying to serve short to my forehand to restrict me using it. It's a common tactic players try to use against me. I'm late to make up my mind that I'm going to play a forehand return, and my timing is off as well. Looking on from the outside, I'd say it's too obvious that this serve has backspin, but I do get a nice long push to the middle of my backhand. It's a good angle for me to work with and opens up the opportunity to get my backhand topspin curling with side spin into his middle. My long serve down the line a few points ago has given me two weaker push returns off the serve and was a successful variation. I'm working his middle as much as I can on my attacks and I'm having success there. He'll probably have to step across with his backhand and start covering the middle more soon, and that will open up opportunities for me to go wide into his backhand. I have to keep a constant eye on whether he's covering his middle or covering his wide backhand, and I've got to be ready to move the positioning of my shots. Good players will always try to get back to their favoured tactics, and I'm expecting him to try stepping around to play his backhand flick from the forehand. I felt it would be a good time for me to vary the position of my serve and go to his backhand. He goes for a little too much speed on his flick, however I like his technique. A fast, whippy wrist motion that allows him to generate however much speed he wants very easily. I was too far to the middle of the table and should have been covering my wide backhand better. The danger with the Tomahawk Serve short to the backhand is that I'm having to cover short to my forehand and long and wide to my backhand. I judge these to be the most effective places for the opponent to return. Now that's a big chunk of the table I have to cover, and generally just use this serve as an occasional placement variation. I'm really happy about this point. I read side spin on his serve with maybe a hint of backspin as well. That gives me the perfect opportunity to go for more side spin on my flick, which increases the chances I'll be able to keep my shot low over the net and keep the bounce low on his side. I succeed with this and expect that he'll be forced to play a less aggressive shot as the ball is low and curling with side spin. I like to follow up quickly in these situations and take my next topspin early, straight after the bounce. I'm a fast player with a fast wrist and arm movement, So I need to be taking the ball early and giving my opponent as little time as possible. I practice many exercises specifically designed on getting my shots out wide, and the placement of my next backhand topspin was great. I managed to play the ball wide and hit the white line. My next shot went straight to the middle of his backhand where he was waiting, but I do better with my forehand, which goes to his pocket. I'm trying to vary the placement of my shots, as it's important to not be predictable and to move the ball around against players at this level. I can see my timing was particularly good this rally, which is a big difference to my poor timing at the start of the set. His first shot lands deep on my side, which allows me to take it straight off the bounce. That's ideal for me, as I want to cut down my opponent's reaction time and stress him as much as I can. His next shot bounces mid-length on the table and is too short for me to take it early. I'd have to reach too far out in front of me, and that makes timing difficult. I have to really force myself to wait for the ball, as starting my swing just a fraction too early will drop my consistency considerably. The same goes for my last backhand winner. I'm having to force myself to wait and to be patient. It's easier said than done. I'm moving the position of my shots around well, and making him constantly adjust his defences. I'm trying to play outside of his comfort zones and into areas where he is weak. My guess is that he's thinking about how to stop me flicking his serve on the next point, and I'm expecting a short serve to my forehand. His tactics, however, are clear. Short serve to my backhand, which makes it difficult for me to flick down the line, as I've just got less table to aim for and a shorter distance to play with. Then he's looking to play the forehand pivot in expectation that I'll flick into his backhand. I don't see that this serve of his is any different to his other serves this set, but the umpire faults him. The current service rule is very poorly formulated and leads to situations like this where the umpire has a massive influence. Ideally, I'm looking for the opportunity to attack first in the rally at this stage of the set. I feel most confident with my short side spin topspin variation and feel that I don't have too much to fear. He hasn't blasted any hard flicks past me so far, and I've had a good chance to attack after the serve. The most important thing is that I get the serve short, low, and preferably fast as well. The higher the serve, the more chance he has to play down and forwards on the ball with speed, and I'm hoping to restrict this by keeping it low and skimming the top of the net. It looks like my shot just clips the top of the net on the way through, which makes blocking very difficult for him. Even the smallest change in direction and trajectory of the ball makes it so much harder to get the ball back. I still remember my bitter disappointment at serving this one too high and without enough spin. Having the ball sit up high is exactly what I was trying to avoid doing on my serve, and his hard flick is already past me before I have a chance to swing at it. Very disappointing. His serve is very short and wide to my forehand. I'm taking a risk by stepping over so far to flick it, as it is difficult to get back into position afterwards. By the time I read where his serve is coming, I've already committed to playing my flick. I could have done better with my positioning. Into his pocket or out wide to the backhand would have been better options. Back far away from the table is not my strong side, and I don't win too many points from back there. I'm trying to keep the serve low. There's only millimetres between the ball going into the net, being the perfect height, and going too high. I'm happy with my last serve, as it stays low this time, but he makes a strong fast flick to my forehand. It's quite risky from Mattenet, as he is using a flat, straight trajectory, and he must get the height of his shot perfect. I use too much arm and not enough wrist on my forehand topspin, which leads to a flat contact without much spin, and my shot does not arc down in time.